Hi everyone, my name is Tai. In this video, we're going to learn how you're able to use macro to do certain things based on 5 questions I have received during my AMA Ask Me Anything sessions. Let's go through the question here together. On the first one, this person asked about how could I use one click to refresh the pivot table in multiple files. And the second question is about the setting that prevent macro from running. And the third question is about the risk about macro enable workbook. Fourth one is appending the row between the tables. And lastly, to replace the version data from another place. Let's go through the first one together here. In front of us, we have 4 files. This is the completed file, and these are the files with the pivot table. Let me open one of them, report alpha. Let me open it. Let's look at the data. The data here, we have Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, and Golf, and repeat the same thing. If I scroll down, I see that is Hotel, India, and Juliet, and they have a different value here as well. If I'm going to open the file to refresh one by one, it will take a long while. Let's see how we're able to use recording to handle this situation. And now I want to close this file. I go back to my Excel file. This is the file has completed. Let me redo again to let you see what is possible here. Before I continue, I want to make sure I go to the correct folder later on. With the quick and easy method is go back to the folder just now. Go to the top, the address bar, right click and copy the address and go back to Excel. Let me insert the shape. I want to give a name called refresh report so that it has a different name with the previous one. Once I have this one, I go to the home and I could make the things larger. Make it center, middle, and also make it larger. Done. Now I have this button ready, and the next one I'm going to record it. To do recording, I go to developer. If you do not see developer appears on the top, you could just right click and any of the ribbons and choose customize the ribbon. Inside customize the ribbon, go towards the one on the right side and you will see developer. So after you check on this developer and click OK, and you are able to see developers appears on the top. And to do the recording, I go to record macro and you ask me what is a macro name. So I call it refresh report. Uppercase, lowercase is okay, no special character in between except underscore. And currently I do not use any shortcut key. I want to store in this workbook so that whenever I share this file to my colleague, they are able to use the macro as well. And I click OK. So I'm going to use this file to open the report file and then refresh it, only then save it. So I'm going to do this one manually 3 times for 3 different files. I go to File, Open, and go to Browse. Yes, I go to the folder. That is the folder. I go to Report Alpha, open it. Okay, so it doesn't have it. So I need to go to Data, Refresh All, Close, Save. And do the same thing for the next 2 files. Go to File, Open, Browse, and Report Bravo. Go to Data, Refresh All, Close, and Save. And finally, the last file. Go to File, Open. Inside Open, I choose Browse, Report Charlie. Then I go to Data, Refresh All, Add new data here and close and save. So towards the end, I need to stop a recording. So I go to developer, go towards left side, stop recording. Done. So now everything recording is done, and we're going to assign the recorder macro to the button just now. And then before we do testing, we want to reverse the process or the data changes just now in the pivot table. Go back to the shape here. I just need to right click and choose assign macro. Yeah. Inside assign macro, there's something called refresh report, which is the macro we have just recorded. And we click OK. When I click away, so when I move my mouse point on this particular shape or button, you will see the mouse pointer changes to the finger pointing icon. So now I need to do some testing. I need to go back to my report, reverse the changes just now. I open report alpha, reverse the data, just move it up and refresh all, and then move it down to extend it. Double check, save it, and do the same thing for the other two. Bravo. Go to data and move it up a little bit so that it excludes these three records. Refresh all and include it, and go to report. Yes, it doesn't have the three records here. Save and close, and finally go to report Charlie. In the report Charlie, I go to data, exclude these three records, refresh all and include them. Double check on the report. It doesn't include that three records. Save and close. This is the final moment we're going to do testing by clicking on that button. Let's observe the magic together. Click on the refresh button and let's wait for a while. Yes, it opens, it refreshes, and it will close it after refreshing. Okay, done. We go back to our report here, report alpha, open it. Yes, it has new data here. So this is how we're able to turn a very simple action into a macro via recording. Subsequently, you are able to use it again and again. Now we're going to answer the second question together. This question is about what are the settings in Windows or Excel that prevents macro from running. These are the common things you may encounter. So there are few layers, and what are the things you could change, or what are the consequences or the effect. The first one on individual file. This is how you want to unblock them, especially the file you get from internet, maybe WhatsApp or email or download from a web page. So let me show you how to unblock this one in this demonstration. So this is the file we have, and this download from internet. When I double click to open the file, you observe it has certain thing like this light orange or gray or red color. Yeah, it shows it's blocked the macro from running. If you click, it doesn't tell you much about what are the things to do. Actually, if you want to prevent this one, or you need to close it, go back to the file here, right click and choose properties, the last one. Inside properties, and you will see something like call unblock. You need to do it once for the file you downloaded from internet. If you download again, you need to do it again. So let me choose unblock, and I click apply, and the things disappear. Next time I open, and it will not prompt, the blocking message. It will show the macro whether I want to enable it. So this is the things you could adjust in your file, especially download from internet. The second layer is the Excel setting, where it's in the trust center. You could set the behavior of all the files you are going to open. So to do setting is we are able to use something like this one in this demonstration here. We go to developer. Inside developer, there's something called macro setting. In the macro setting, these are the few options you could adjust. By default, it uses disable macro with notification. So whenever this thing is selected, it will prompt whether you want to enable the macro. If I ignore this macro message in my file, I need to close and reopen the file so that when I get the prompt, I have a chance to enable again. So this is the option. If the person or sometimes the company prevent macro totally, they may use certain control to disable all the macro without notification. So this is a bit tighter one, and sometimes you only choose to only accept those digitally signed. That means you know where they are coming from, and you can double check whether it's someone you know or someone you trust. And lastly is very dangerous, and we will cover the last one later. And so this is the things you could do. And the third one is about network or IT. Some organizations, they have a group policy to prevent all the staff from running macro. If this is your case, you may want to speak to your digital or your IT team on what are the things you could do to make use of the macro in your work. And now we go to the last one is the location. Different location, they have a different setting, whether you choose to trust or not to trust the setting. Let me show you where are the place. We go back to Excel. Inside developer, there is something called macro security. Click on the macro security, there is something called trusted location. You could click on this one and you can define the location where you want to allow the macro to run without prompting you. You could click on the add new location. If you want, you could remove or modify existing location here. And my invitation to you is not to set your C drive as a trusted location. That's very dangerous. Basically, you are inviting all the macro that could be running on your computer. Later on, I will cover a little bit about the risk of the macro. These are the three types of risks you may encounter and which you do not want them to have it in your work. The first one is very dangerous. So basically, whenever you open the macro and it runs, it may download something called payloads. Payloads basically it downloads some executable file from a website and it runs on your computer. And it makes the risk even higher or more severe when you are running on an administrator account, so that it allows has the access to go to a lot of things that beyond your imagination. The second type of it could be a file deletion or encryption. Some people they may not aware we are able to use macro to remove files, and that's very dangerous if you're not aware about this one. And some macro they also could encrypt certain things, then it asks you for money. So there's something like ransomware. So basically it encrypt your file until you pay them money and you have a chance to recover your file. So that's very risky. And the third one is a self-replication. That means it's like a macro virus in those days. Basically, it replicates itself to the computer, and whichever files using that computer to open, it will replicate itself to that file. And when this file open in another computer, the cycle repeat. So it's how it spread to each other. So nowadays, I don't see much about this. The third one, the first and second is quite common. Now we go to the second one, which is the system of privacy breaches, and it could access the file system. Yeah, macro could access your file as like you are accessing them. If you have a very high level of access, macro could use your current login and do a lot of harmful stuff behind the scenes. So just be careful about this one. And it could manipulate other apps. And for your information, macro could run any other programs and it can issue some command. For example, macro could run Outlook email and send out emails to all your contacts and ask them to open the file, which is another virus. So this is sometimes I observe people send their file over. I just be cautious. it could be a macro file as well. Just be cautious about this one. And thirdly, it could be stealing your confidential stuff like credential login. And certain macro is allows, it will do some magic work. It will download certain program, small program, and install on your computer without your knowledge. Whenever you type certain thing on your keyboard, it will capture all the information and send to the hackers. So the hackers are able to know what you're typing on your screen, and they're able to find out your password. So very, very risky. And the third type is about the silent risk. What does that mean? So it could be something like infinite loop. And certain macro, this one is quite easy to handle. And the macro, it just run infinitely. It will just take up all your computing power, your memory, your processing power. It just take up everything. To fix this one is rather simple. Just end the Excel. Sometimes, whenever we are doing some automation, we might encounter this infinite loop. The second silent risk is data corruption. Sometimes people use Excel to automate certain data cleaning, and they use macro. And just for your information, when macro runs or modify the data, even though the file has not closed, we cannot undo. So just be careful. This could be a risk that you want to be aware. Therefore, before you start doing a testing on your macro, you want to save a backup of your file before running. And since these are the risks, what are the things we could do to prevent such risk? So there are 4 things you could consider. The first one is you check the source. Who are the sender? If you feel a bit suspicious, ask the sender. And hey, do you send this file with the macro? If the person say yes, you want to say, okay, maybe I want to disable the macro. Will the file still works? If the person say yes, that is good. If the person say no, you want to double check with your IT to make sure the code doesn't done something harmful. Okay, so this check the source. And second, do not simply enable content. I've seen this a lot of time. When people open the file, there's a prompt called enable content, and they just enable without knowing. Just by enabling the content, they allows the macro to run behind the scenes. And this is the harmful stuff the macro takes advantage of, and they will do a lot of magical stuff behind the scenes, the harmful magic. Later I will do a simple demonstration after this. And do not simply allow all macros. I see this one and I feel bad. I really feel bad when some IT, they're unaware. Just by allow all macros to run, it looks like solving a support issue. Actually, they are opening their door wide, allows anyone to enter. That's very, very uneducated advice. If you have such IT, remind them, hey, this is a bit risky. Are they aware? If they are aware and they know the consequences, and that is okay. If you're not aware, you may not want to take their advice about this one. Just be careful about this. And third thing you could do is only use those digitally signed macro. When a person develops a macro file, the person can use digital certificate to sign the file. Whoever unauthorized person, except that person, change the file or change the code particularly, the signature will be broken. So this is how you can make sure the file or macro stays intact. So now I'm going to demonstrate this enable content and where are the things to check allow all macros. This is the file I have. It says hello world and I have seen nothing on this file. It looks harmless and it asks for enable content, and sometimes people are not aware, they just enable. Observe the screen, yeah. When I click enable content without clicking anything, I will see something running. So let me do this. Hello world. I didn't click anything. This is the macro running from this file. Just be extra careful. Even though now it's only single message, a macro could do a lot of things, harmful stuff behind the scenes. For example, you will go to a specific website, download some malware and install on your computer. Some a little bit intelligent macro or the so-called attack, they will create the file in your computer and run from the computer so that it doesn't need to access to the internet. So that's even dangerous because you have no idea what kind of risk you are inviting if you're not aware about this. So I click OK. Luckily, nothing happened. Secondly, is about where to check your setting is allowed or macro. We go back to developer. Inside developer, we need to go to macro settings. We go to macro security. There is something called enable macros. Yeah, we do not want to use this one. Do not want to use this. And some people will be saying, hey, Time, is that okay about this one? This one is tricky. I will discourage you not to use this one because macro 4 is stores everything on the single sheet and yeah, not easy to manage. Don't do this one. And my one, you can see is have trust access to VBA project object model because I'm doing some development and automation. So I need to use this one to make the thing easier. We do not enable this one as well because this one allows a macro to replicate itself to the computer and use computer to replicate to other Excel file or some other files. Do not use this one except you are doing development. So I'm doing development, so I need to have certain access. So in short, leave it blank, do not use this one, leave it blank, and do not use this as well. Now we are going towards question number 4. In this question, it basically is want to append a new row between two tables. Whenever we are appending a row, I need to push the table at the bottom downwards. So I'm going to demonstrate the end result here and let you see the thinking process. This is my file and I have table 1 and table 2. This is the data I'm going to append either towards table 1 or table 2. And I have two different buttons here. One is called append to table 1, one is called append to table 2. I'm going to do something here, let you see the end result. When I see A1, B1, I want to append to table 1, click, you can see it goes to table 1 and it goes down. And furthermore, it will wipe off the previous data entry. Click OK. If I go to A2, B2, and append to table 2, and it works. So this is how the logic works. I'm using AI to generate the code for us to make it easier. I'm using Claude. Personally, I like to use Claude because it has an upper hand when it comes to programming. And with the advancement of AI, there are more and more AI that's capable of doing so. It's just my personal preference. Okay, so at the initial prompt, I paste a picture like this one. And the purpose of having this one is to let it know the coordinate for each of them, the data, where it goes, all these things. Because I want to make sure I have the header and the row number. So that's intention. After that, I want to tell what it does. So this is the logic. I want to tell the end result is Excel VBA with the following logic. When I click append table 1, I want to go to end of table 1 and push table 2 downwards. And I want to get the data from a place called new data. Over here, I did not tell where is the location of the new data. I just provide an image. And subsequently, I want to say when I click on append table 2, I want to do something similar and just go for table 2. So after that, it will just generate the code and it gives me the code. The code looks something like this. It looks something like this one. Whenever you have the code, you could download it. Because from the Claude, it will download as a .vba file. So I need to open it with a notepad. When I open it, I see the code. I copy everything. go back to my Excel file and go to Developer. There's something called Visual Basic. Click on the Visual Basic. Currently, I already have the code. Presume you do not have the code, you could do something like this one. You could go to Insert, go to Insert, Insert Modules. Yeah, Insert Modules. After you click Insert Modules, and you will see something like a blank stuff here. Let me do this demonstration. Insert Modules. It looks something like a blank. And you paste whatever you have copied just now. Just paste. Yep, that's it. After paste, you go back to your Excel and assign the macro to the buttons here. So let me close. I'm not doing this one because I already assigned. Let me show you. Just go to the button, right click and assign macros. I already assigned the macro called Append to table 1. So this for table 1 and next one is table 2. After I done this and I do a testing, if the result is not up to your expectation, you have a chance to do correction. For this particular scenario, it doesn't work quite well. So I would just say the logic is incorrect. When I click on Append table 1, it goes to table 2. So it's just not so well, and I ask for correction, and it turned out the logic and download again. So the code it looks something like this one. It has some changes. I have no idea what are the things, and I could just select the whole thing, copy, and go back to Excel and the macro. Just paste everything here. Whatever you have previously, you have it, remove everything and paste it over. After paste it over and you do a testing. And after I do the second round of testing, I found out the thing is not quite well. Whenever I click on the Append table 1 or 2, it always go to table 1. So it just doesn't work. So I go back to the AI again. I clarify again. When I click table 1, go to table 1. When I click table 2, go to table 2. Okay, so to be more specific, to cover all possible scenarios, I just clarify. Only then it does the correction and I download again. And I got this code, copy the whole thing, go back to Excel, select all the previous code, remove it and paste it. Only then it works. So that was a thinking process or the logic behind the scenes, how we are able to use AI to generate the code for me. And you can see I'm just prompting. I'm just using some logical flow of thinking to let the AI to do the heavy lifting of the coding. Now we're going to the next final question. The final question is a little bit interesting. So the situation is something like this one. It has a version data as from the so-called master data and have a new data. You need to find the version data, remove it, and copy or append to the so-called master data and change the version number. So the step, it looks something like this one. Delete the existing version, copy the new data over, and then update the version column to the version number specified. Whenever we are using a macro for the automation, it's very important to list down the step. Without the step, we might confuse ourselves. So some people may be saying, hey, Ty, it's a bit tedious. Yes, no doubt it's a bit tedious. Whenever you are going through this process of listing down the steps, you are giving yourself a chance, a greater clarity on what you are going to want the macro to do for you. So do not skip this step unless you're very experienced or you have made a lot of mistakes like me until you immune to certain mistakes. Otherwise, list down the step first. So I'm going to share with you the thinking process and the logic behind the prompt I use to generate the code here. Let's look at the end result here. I have version 1, 2, and version number 3. I have new data on the new worksheet where the version number is not here. And whenever I click on this button, it will prompt me which version I want to remove, and it will remove, and it will copy new data over with the version number we have specified. Let's test it. When I click on the update data, it prompts which version I want to remove. So I want to remove version number 3. Then OK, and the new version will be under version number 4. When I click OK, version number 3 removed, and version number 4 added. Very good. Sometimes we may make mistakes as well. If let's say I'm not aware or the version number doesn't exist here and I want to update it. So there will be another error handling. So when I click on this one, I want to remove version number 5, which is not exist, and I want to append and make it as version number 6. When I click OK, it have a prompt. Hey, version number 5 is not found. You want to continue. Yep, I'm aware it's not available. I just want to add in. I will just say yes. Version number 6 added. Okay, scroll down. Yes, these are the version number 6. By having aware the steps and possible hiccups, you are able to let the AI to create the prompt or to create the code for you easier. So let's see the prompt I use. This is the prompt I use. I just say write Excel VBA. What is the language? And I mentioned it has 2 worksheets, 1 and 2. And it's not easy to screenshot the whole thing and paste it here. And I do not want to upload the file. Sometimes the file is a bit too heavy. I just mentioned it has 2 worksheets and there are 3 columns and 2 columns respectively. And they start from A1. Why I want to mention it start from A1? As certain situation, your data may not start from A1. It could be start from in the middle or somewhere in between. By giving this awareness, the AI able to do the coding much more efficiently. Then subsequently, I tell the logic. This is the logic. First, prompt the user which version to update. And second, prompt the user again, what is the version of the new data. Then I say in current worksheet, you say current, it's link it to here. And the next one is say delete the specified version in step number 1. Step number 1 is over here. And I want to append. Yeah, append new sheet. Yes, to the current new sheet I refer to here. So this is the name I use. And at the end, and update the version number as per step number 2. Yep, so you can see the step. Very good. And I want to do something extra as well, just in case something happens. So I included the extra. The extra is called error handling. When it's a new data, no data in the new sheet, or whenever the specified version does not exist, or there could be some potential blank cells. If your data has, you want to prompt it so that it is aware. And I'm lucky for this particular prompt, I got the answer working at one shot. So after this thing, it gives me the answer, just download the code, and the code looks something like this. It's a lot longer. If I want to type this whole thing, it will take a while. Yes, it has error handling, done. Then you go back to your Excel. And same thing, go to developer. Inside developer, go to Visual Basic. In the Visual Basic, go to insert modules, and whatever the code you have generated, just copy the whole thing and paste it over here. After that, go back to your Excel, assign the macro to the button, or you can run the macro straight away from this macro. I hope this gives you some ideas how you're able to use macro differently. And my name is Tai. You can find me Excel Sifu on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. On regularly, I have something called AMA for my community members. I hope you are able to make friends with your data easier.